Hello and welcome, people of the internet, to episode 4 of the Unnamed Games podcast. Thanks for joining us this week. My name's Craig, aka Indiana Bond, joined today by Phil, aka Speed Freak Phil. How you doing, Phil?
What's up?
What's up? I'm also joined by Chris Ratley, aka Ratster. How you doing, my man?
Yo, what's up, my peoples?
What's up? And last but not least, joined by Alan Longfangs Howlett. How you doing, mate?
Hello.
Hello, the low and dulcet tone. So we're going to mix it up a little bit this week. So normally I would go through the different sections and kind of go from there, but Phil has decided he's going to take the reins this week. So just to mix it up a little bit, it's nice to all have a bit of a go in different areas, I think, isn't it? So I think we'll pass it straight over to you, Phil. Okay?
Thanks, mate. In the words of Star Trek, I have the con.
Yes, number one.
So we are moving straight into the news section, and I've got a couple of different points to talk about this week. But I'm going to start with the Xbox pre-orders. Particularly, there was a bit of a muddle around the all-access orders for people. So, all-access you could basically get from, I believe it was Smith's Toys and Game were the two main places that you could do it. And there was a lot of concern around it where people were basically ordering their pre-orders, and then those companies got their basic allocation of the games consoles, and then they were sort of cancelling people's orders basically because they'd oversold the number. Now, the real issue came with that was because all access is effectively credit, the company called Klarna were doing a hard credit check when you signed up, which was impacting recording on your credit plan, and then they were effectively cancelling your order. So there was kind of a lot of concern around that, a bit of bad press. So what do you guys think about that? Let's go to Craig first, as he's normally hosting.
Oh, thanks, mate. First up, I like that. I think it's been a real funny one for me because initially when I was going to get a Series X, in my mind I was like, well, I'm totally going to get it on this Xbox All Access because it seemed like such a great deal. Effectively, over the course of the 2 years, you're actually saving yourself a little bit of money. But when I contacted the retailers, both Smiths and Game, nobody could actually really tell me what I needed to do. I said, can I come in when I pre-order it? Can I sign up for it then? Do I have to do it on the day that I collect it? If I'm collecting it, because the chances are I may go to a midnight launch because, well, we just do that, don't we? Sometimes it's a new console launch, and if I've got the day off the next day, why not?
But an Xbox One, yeah.
That's it, yeah. Can I do it at midnight? Probably not, because the credit company aren't going to be open. But nobody could actually really tell me anything about it. I mean, particularly the person I spoke to on the phone at Game was almost trying to dissuade me from doing it, I think, because they obviously weren't comfortable with what the process was, which really kind of it really put me off it, to be honest. I was really worried that way, hence why I've just gone to a straight pre-order and I'm just going to purchase it outright and kind of do it the other way round. And it seems like, it has been an issue for several people, when they've oversold these consoles, put these credit checks through and effectively having to cancel them because they can't supply it. It's bad, really, because it's not people's fault.
It's not just the people that pre-ordered the new console. They also did the exact same thing to people who are already existing customers on All Access as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So even if you were with the program and going through the upgrade for it, some people had similar problems there where, again, they were authorizing that upgrade, doing that hard credit check, and then couldn't get the stock.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's rough, man. I guess I'm kind of glad that I went round and did it the way I did. Maybe if I was buying a console when it was already out, it might be a more of a smoother process. I get, we're going through COVID, there's issues, supply issues, things are going to happen, but yeah, not good, man.
Any further thoughts on that one, Alan, if I move to you next?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one because, everything with pre-orders, there's always that chance that that there's going to be short stocks. There's always going to be a bigger demand than they actually have of the product. And I think that's just, magnified with, these being these credit plans. But I think one of the key issues, as I say, that you've touched on a little bit was the credit check. And in some cases, because they've been declined a credit check, then this is going to have a negative impact on people's, credit rating, which is not cool. But upon saying that, I mean, as I say, it is, inherently an issue with, 100 people go onto the website and try and order 50 Xboxes at the same time, then 50 people are going to be, disappointed. But I don't think it's a massive deal. And from what the information that's coming out from both Klarna and from Xbox seems to be that they're working very hard to resolve the situation. I mean, I think the comment was retailers are working to fix the stock shortage, and that any customers will receive an Xbox. Now, they don't actually say that you'll receive it on the day that it will actually be released, but there's people who've had an email confirmation that was later cancelled, but Klarna are coming back and saying that if you've pre-ordered from Game or from Smith's Toys, then you are still guaranteed a console eventually. So I don't know whether that's just automatic, but you will still be able to get an Xbox. But again, that doesn't mean that you'll get one on the day of release. But it's one of those issues. I mean, I'm not even sure there's a solution to this. How do you, as I said, my example of 100 people and 50 consoles available, how do you do that? If everybody presses the buy button at the same time, which is entirely possible, some people are going to be disappointed. Admittedly, the thing about the credit from the Klarna point of view, it's a Swedish financial technology company, apparently. I mean, that was a bit short-sighted, and obviously they were just immediately going, yeah, you've been declined, and that affects their credit rating. But I do believe they're working hard to resolve that. So obviously there are going to be disappointed people, but I don't think it's a blip, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. You're right. Yeah, they did send out an email later on, which I was going to kind of dip in at the end for. But basically, they've said if you still want a console, we'll get you one, but they can't confirm it's going to be at launch date.
Yeah.
Did you have any more kind of points on that one you wanted to put in, Ratley?
Well, mine's I've actually pre-ordered on All Access, and my experience could have been like literally no different to what all these things are thinking. I went to Game, I said I want to do it on All Access. They went, cool. This is the website. You do it tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. I went onto the website the next day. They did my credit check. They went, yep, you've got a console. Happy days. See you later. And I went, cool. And they even said to me, like, if I said, what happens if I fail the credit check? And they were like, well, there'll still be a console here for you. You can just come in and buy it. I was like, cool, no worries. I mean, like, my experience was entirely different to what everyone else said. It was just a case of, I mean, I appreciate that. I think the biggest problem was the website crashing and people get, having filled their information in, and like you say, getting these credit checks. And failing a credit check, if someone fails a credit check because they fail a credit check, that's just the way it is. The bigger problem is people being passed for credit and then not being able to get the goods. I mean, that's a huge problem because they've had a hard
part of the bricks and mortar kind of philosophy.
Yeah, I mean,
you went to a shop, didn't you?
Well, yeah, but I still had to fill in the credit application, and if they'd have said to me no, I'd have failed a credit check, and that would still have gone on my record as a credit check fail. Same way it would have done if I'd done it through an online order. The bigger issue here isn't that people are failing credit checks; it's people are passing credit checks, and then they're being told there's no consoles available for them. The problem is there. The problem with the way credit works, I'm sure you know, is that once you have a credit check, that goes on your record, and it can count against you in certain instances. And for people to have credit checks, be told we've approved you for credit, and then not being able to sell them the goods is the problem. I mean, the being not enough items around. Yeah, this is like as Alan says, it's how do you solve this problem? We always knew, we covered this last week as well with the whole there aren't enough consoles to go around. The whole thing was a bit of a mess. The fact they only made this service available in 2 retailers, and it was really poorly thought out, in my opinion, in terms of. From the retail side of things, going into a bricks and mortar store, the experience was brilliant because, like they said, you just put your pre-order in today, we secure you the console, and if you want it on All Access, you do it tomorrow via this link, and then if that fails, you just come in and buy it. But having so many people want to do that online, and it's obvious the infrastructure wasn't there to be able to cope with just the pre-order demand, where people just wanted to buy the consoles, let alone have the process of doing all the credit checks and stuff online as well. It just made it kind of this whole mess of a thing where, it was just infrastructure problems. But I agree, the biggest problem here is people have been hard credit checked for goods they can't receive. And that's big. It could affect people's lives in a big way, and they knew what they were getting into, sure, but they expected to get a console at the end of this, and now they're not. And that sucks. As a fan, it sucks. I feel for these people.
Yeah, I think it's strange, isn't it? How we had experience at exactly the same retailer. Mine was be it over the phone, but directly to the store.
Mm.
And the person I spoke to was just completely didn't have a clue. And maybe it was a case of it was just that particular branch, or they hadn't been briefed correctly. And the store that you went to, they had been. Who
Yeah,
knows?
it's,
But
it's
it's
entirely
mad, isn't it?
possible as well that just the timing of that, like you rang up before they'd had the official comms go out, and they said, "Oh, we don't know," and then knowing the way that a lot of retail works is like it's probably a day or two before they decide to tell the staff on the boots
Yeah,
on the ground how this is going to work. So they're getting phone calls going, "We just don't know."
we've all been there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
just
all
one
good,
final,
Alan.
just one final comment on that. There has been a press release from Klarna, and it says that they're looking into customer concerns that their credit scores may have been impacted by the declined orders. We want to reassure all of our customers we are taking this extremely seriously and will work with the credit reference agencies to remove any mark on your credit file for anyone who should not have received this. And that's really important because they need to do
Yeah,
that because,
That's good.
as Ratley clearly says, some people are, on the edge of that good credit rating, bad credit rating, and this could take them over that edge, and that's not good for anybody. So
yeah,
it seems to me that Klarna is trying to resolve the issue, although the issue shouldn't have been one in the first place, of course.
yeah. I mean, but at least it's getting resolved.
Yeah, good point to end on with that one, I think, Alan. Great positive sort of outcome, or at least eventually positive. Okay, so my second talking point around here is the embargo on the Series X, or at least people kind of reviewing and giving their first thoughts, ended at 2 p.m. on the 28th of September. And the internet was flooded with a bunch of videos of people looking at boot times and quick resume and some of the back compatible games and how they run. What did you guys think? What have you seen? Let's go with Ratley first this time.
I mean, yeah, I think the overall majority of people were extremely positive. I think there was a lot of good things said about things like quick resume and things like that. I mean, these are features we've known about for a long time, but it's nice to see it out in the wild, like being tested by people that aren't those select few people that Microsoft have brought in and shown them the select few things they want to show them. They've gone, right, yeah, go with it, use it, have fun with it, tell us what you think of it, put your honest feedback up online so people know how good our product is. I got a lot of respect for Microsoft giving people the box that early, saying, look, this isn't a completely finished retail unit, but we want you to have an experience and tell the world what your experience is because we think the product's that good. And I think it's really encouraging that they're willing to let people do this. I mean,
Absolutely.
it speaks volumes to what they've been doing this whole generation in terms of pre-orders and openness of information. From the spec list, from showing like the whole internal hardware breakdowns on things like Digital Foundry, etc. They've really been like open, honest, and just laid their cards on the table, which is I think is a really good like sort of leap forward from where they were this time last generation. So yeah, it's really positive to see. I think my overall everything I saw, no one really had much bad to say about it. One thing that I'm really happy about is it's super quiet. According to everybody, you just don't know the things on, which
I
is
heard that as well.
encouraging because having an Xbox One X for a while, one of the best things about that is exactly how quiet it is. I just don't know the things on, and it's amazing how when you do suddenly hear it, like on a really hot summer's night, I heard it and I was like, "What's that noise?" And it suddenly became slightly intrusive to my experience, and to not have that every day. It makes you appreciate when you suddenly realise, my God, it is that quiet. I just don't know it's on. That's huge.
I can confirm Craig's PlayStation 4, not the same.
Yeah,
She's a noisy old girl, that one, isn't she?
jet engines, my
It's a
friend.
bit of a
jet
meme,
engines.
isn't it? But there's the truth to it.
Oh, there is. I have to play my PlayStation with headphones on. It's that loud.
What was your kind of thoughts around the Series X first impressions then, Craig, while we're discussing differences?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, super happy and kind of mirroring pretty much what Ratley said. I mean, it's great to see that Microsoft have this confidence in their product, much like they did with the Xbox One X when they brought that out, to actually say, look, here it is, have a go. Do your first impressions. These are the things you can talk about, because obviously they want to stagger that information out a little bit, and there's certain points that marketing want them to talk about. But I mean, they put it out to so many different influencers, all these units, and to see this really positive stuff coming back. I personally, I really like the stuff around the transfer rates. So we've got the internal solid state, or the internal NVMe, let's say, and actually saying how long it's going to take to transfer from a standard spinning drive, how long it's going to take to transfer from an external SSD, for example. So it gives me a good sense of how long it's going to take me to transfer files from one to the other, because I'm going to continue using my 4 terabyte spinning drive for the time being, because I don't think it's necessary to buy the £220 expansion straight away. So that was really nice. And the other thing that really sung to me was the controller. A lot of people have been saying real positive things about the very, very slight changes in the controller, the way that the weight's been moved into the handles. It gives it a lot chunkier feel to it, the textured grips, and a lot of really positive things coming out of it for a controller that's, albeit hardly changed. I suppose it's almost a perfect controller, so how can you change it apart from just iterate a little bit on perfection? But yeah, it's just if anything, I'm more excited than I was, and I didn't think that was possible.
Sorry to jump in on that, the controller point though. Just a quick one. You guys got Series 2 Elites, right? Who's got one of them?
I've got a Series 2 Elite.
Yeah. Do you notice that it's a bit slimmer and a bit? It sounds very much like what happened with Series 2 is what's happening with the Series X controller, Series S controller. I don't really know, but I feel my Series 2 Elite is a little bit slimmer. The weight's a bit different. It feels a bit chunkier. So if it's anything like my Series 2 Elite in terms of that feel in hand, I'm going to be a really happy bunny with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt the same kind of thing, actually. It feels a little weightier in your hands. I like the change they've done to the grips on it as well. Like they almost feel a little bit oily initially, but once your hands warm up on it, they're just a real nice sort of tacky texture on them, which is great.
It's really hard to quantify those changes, though. That's what I find.
Yeah.
Quantifying exactly what's changed, I can't quite tell you, but I know it feels different, and I really like what they've done.
I think I want to use the word refining here. Why change something that works, but just change just these little bits, like add that share button, just use the Elite controller, D-pad, just little touches like that. Just, you're not really reinventing the wheel here, because it worked before. It's just, upgrading those little pieces, and I think they've got it bang on.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Alan. Was that kind of your main takeaway from these, the controller, or have you got any other points that kind of really excited you about the new Series X?
Yeah, I mean, same as Craig. I mean, obviously, I'm super excited for the release of the console. There wasn't really anything that the commentators told me that we didn't really know before, but it's very, very nice to have it all confirmed. I think one commentator, he said the Xbox Series X is zippy.
Zippy.
Yeah, zippy, which I thought was, bungle. Yeah, but and that kind of describes it all, really, doesn't it? I mean, it's slick, it's quick. Was it 3 or 4 load times faster for backwards compatible games? Be able to run them in HDR version. Double the frame rate, all these things. It's not just the new fancy titles, which we might be talking about later on in this podcast, but you're talking about more than 1,000 games from the original Xbox 360 and Xbox One, all playable on the Series X, but like 3 or 4 times faster load time. All those added features, and I think that it's nice to hear all of that is working. The quick resume sounds fantastic. I'm one of those people that kind of jumps between things. I'll be playing, because obviously, as I mentioned before, I play Ark quite a lot, but I'm not playing it continuously, so I might jump from that into something else, or even do this, that, or the other. And you have to shut the game down, save the game, and go somewhere else. And being able to just leave it running in the background and go and do something else sounds fantastic. I think he said he had about 5 games running at the same time. I don't know what the limit is at this point, but I think overall, sorry,
I think it's 4.
See, I've seen reports of 5 or 6, so I think it might depend on what the game is, possibly.
But
maybe
either way,
how much memory it requires.
Yeah, that's possibly it.
Who's going to have 4 or 5 games open at the time? I mean, unless it's Jules. Hello, Jules. But
what's really important here, Alan, is you're still going to get mugged in Ark if you don't close and save your game or lock yourself in it.
Still get eaten by a raptor, yeah, probably. But so overall, my takeaway from that is that I can't say that that there was anything negative about it. I think that what Xbox and Microsoft are saying about the Series X and what they've been promising us is already being proven, and I cannot wait.
Cool. Thanks for that, Alan. Okay, so my next kind of talk point. So obviously with a lot of the Game Pass and new demonstrations and the Series X first impressions, Xbox are kind of lining up for the sort of 1-2 punch, and then a 3 and a 4. And I think probably number 3 that I've seen quite recently, which was announced just as I wrote the running order and sent it out and had to edit it. So EA Play is coming to Game Pass Ultimate from the 10th of November on Xbox, and they've said December without a date for PC Game Pass subscribers. How great is that? Assuming you want to play some EA games.
Yeah, that for me is the first question, because I mean, I've looked at EA Play, and there are very few EA games that I to be perfectly frank, that I actually want to play. I mean, there are a couple of titles in there. I think Mass Effect might be in there, rightly.
Yeah,
all of them.
might be.
Yeah, Dead
All of them.
Space and Battlefield, but I've never felt a need to get EA Play, so I'm a little bit underwhelmed. But it is good news for people, I think, in general, especially if you're into the sports games. What is it? You can try it up to 10 hours of play with no commitment. Isn't
It
that
depends on the
right,
game.
That's
yeah,
the
for a
new
new release
That's
game,
the
and
new
obviously
gen. Yeah.
they're not going to give it to you free. So we're not talking about Game Pass here, where you're going to get Starfield on day of release. And you know what I mean? It's kind of a selling tool for EA rather than actually being a game service for some of these games. As far as I can see, it's like, look at our new game. You can play it for a bit and then you can buy it. So
Well,
I'm quite.
It is kind of an
underwhelmed.
advertising tool there, yeah, but you do get something like 60 odd games that you can play, and they're just included in the service. So it's only the new stuff they do it with. Sorry, Ratley, you were going to make
Well,
a
that's
point
exactly
there,
what I was
mate.
going to say. I think the biggest thing is it depends on the type of game you want from EA. And like, for example, if you're a FIFA player or a Madden player, those games are obviously not going to be included in EA Play because they're a massive cash cow for EA. And why would they want to give them to you for free when they can just sell them to you? And they're going to sell them to you. So, but like if you don't mind waiting a couple of months to play some of their slightly older games, like there's a lot of good stuff in there. If you're that way inclined, I mean, the fact that we've been saying about it, it's another string to the Game Pass bow, isn't it? Having that extra ton of games available now. Titanfall 2, for example, there'll be a ton of people who've never played Titanfall 2, right?
Oh my
And that
God.
game is absolutely incredible, like
They need to-
staggeringly good. And it's worth the price of admission for EA Play to play that. But now you don't have to because you play for Game Pass, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. Any further comments from you, Craig? I mean, I know you've sort of had EA Play and then you got rid of it because Fallen Order wasn't in there and you were deeply upset by that.
Well, I had EA Play. So two reasons that I had EA Access as it was back then. The two reasons were when they do release a new game, I got that little 10-hour free trial so I could try the game out. And I think it was about £20 a year, I think, for EA Access.
Yeah.
And the other thing was once a year, maybe twice a year, I have a game of FIFA with my brother-in-law, usually at Christmas. That's like the only time I ever play it, but it's just like a little tradition thing. And actually it was worth the 20 quid because it was half the price of buying FIFA for when he came round. So that's kind of what I did with that. But then, you're totally right. When it got to Fallen Order coming out, they didn't do a trial for it. Even if they'd done a couple of hours just to try it out, or that, because I think it was a couple of days or 5 days early access you got with it, that would have still made it worth it for me. But the fact that they didn't do anything, it just lost all of its value for me because I'm not a massive EA games fan. There is the standout games that I do play. I like the Battlefield games. I love, obviously, Titanfall 2, much like you said, Ratley, one of the best first-person shooters of the generation, in my opinion. Absolutely brilliant game.
If not the best.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, quite possibly. Obviously the Mass Effect games and things like that. So there are good ones in there. But
And the Sims, Craig. Don't forget the Sims.
I'm afraid I am not a Sims fan, mate. I've tried it. I have tried it, but no, it's not my sort of thing. But yeah, so I think it's great. We know it's coming out on launch, so there's going to be. It's just adding more value, and I think we're looking at this from our standpoint. We've been in this ecosystem for years. Most of these games we've already bought if we've wanted to play them. But if you look at this from a perspective of somebody who's going, I'm going to go over to Xbox this generation, or maybe it's a young kid who's just getting their first console or something. All of a sudden they're going, oh wow, I've just got this new console, and there's like nearly 300 games on here for me to play. It's insane the value that they're bringing.
Yeah,
I think we did talk back about this a little while ago, where like particularly around like buying new games and bits. When you're a kid, like you have to wait for like Christmas or your birthday, and then you get that one game that's maybe like £50 at the time, and then you play it to absolute death.
It has to last you months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, years in some cases if you're not good.
Kids these days, they don't know how good they've got it.
Yeah, that's
First world problems, brother.
But yeah, that's a really good point though. Like, you know, you talk about like if, but again, you're talking about people someone getting the new console. I keep going back to this, and we keep going about Game Pass, and I keep mentioning the phone piece, you know, or the tablet piece. Someone who just wants to sign up for that to use on their phone or their tablet. How? That's just look at the value they've got now. You know, like you said, they've now got access to all the Mass Effect games. You mentioned that, Alan, which that alone is worth the price of admission, in my opinion. And then on top of that, you know, like Titanfall 2, which is just unbelievably good, and then there's gems in there for sure. And then you go on all the top of the Microsoft offerings, like you've got Doom Eternal in there now, you know, all that stuff. It's just from Bethesda stuff. So the Game Pass price now is such staggering value. Like, I mean, I can't see how anyone has anything bad to say about Game Pass, because my God, that's good.
News for next week: Microsoft purchases Sony's back catalogue.
You know what? Wouldn't be surprised at this rate.
Yeah.
Buying everything else. All right. Yeah, I think that was a great talk around the EA Play. I think that's a great addition to Game Pass, and it's just going to save me some money because I do end up playing EA Access every year. So that's going to save me 20 quid. So, next news point. Microsoft, more consoles apparently after the Series X release. So I'm going to read you a little quote from Phil Spencer when he did an interview with Google Analytics. So he said, in terms of future hardware, absolutely, I think we're going to see more console hardware down the road. Just like in video, just like in music, it's not that streaming has cut off device innovation. I think we'll continue to see that, and that's absolutely what we're planning for. What do you guys think around that? Let's go to Alan straight away.
Well, I don't think it's any surprise, really. I mean, at the end of the day, you look at any sort of time in history when we've moved from one medium to another, moving from, you know, like, I'm showing my age, but, you know, moving from records to tapes, and then tapes to CDs, and then CDs to digital. There's always a transitional phase, and that phase isn't a couple of years. That phase can sometimes go on for a couple of decades. So I think it would be a really bad business strategy for Microsoft to basically completely commit to not making any more consoles. There will be a market, and you know, and there will continue to be a market for the foreseeable future, and I don't see that changing. And I think it's typical Phil Spencer. You know, he is kind of stating the obvious. I mean, he has to tell people the obvious that, you know, Microsoft aren't going to suddenly turn around and say, well, Series X, that's our last one, we won't be doing it anymore after that. Of course, there's going to be more consoles, more console hardware down the road. I think the transition from consoles being more PC-esque is definitely happening, and obviously the digital side of things is very prevalent at the moment and becoming bigger all the time. But I think that hardware in your home is going to stay the same for a long time yet to come.
Cool. Let's go to Ratley next. What do you think, buddy?
I think, yeah, Alan's got a really good point. I mean, there's a couple of things I think which are going to play into this as well. Like, no matter what anybody says, like, you know, the biggest problem we're going to have transitioning to streaming, there are a couple of major problems in my opinion. Firstly, latency is going to be a problem compared to local hardware. That's just the way data transfer and information works, right? So until we get that a little bit sharper, you know, that's going to be a problem. Yeah, it's always going to be nicer to play on local hardware, right? Secondly, if they decided to scrap consoles right now and say, yeah, streaming is good enough, take it. We've proved it works with xCloud. We've proved it works with Stadia, and, you know, along, right? I would be like, well, I'm screwed because my internet isn't great at home. I certainly don't have the minimum specs to stream Stadia in 4K. Like when Google came out and said, this is the minimum spec required, I was like, well, I'm screwed. There's no way I can, you know, get involved in that at all. It's just not feasible on my internet connection. And this is going to be a problem which a lot of people would face. You know, a lot of people would say, well, I don't have either the data allowance on my plan, because I know that in a lot of countries, for example, I think Australia have a lot of capped data allowances. So streaming games eats just shed loads of data. So they would be like, well, that's no good to us. And also just the infrastructure, like the fact that there aren't enough people with those blisteringly hot connections that would make it viable for everyone. So, yeah, I think like Alan said, it's going to be a little while before we see that transition completely happen. It may never happen entirely, but we'll see streaming become bigger and bigger and bigger over the next 10 years for sure. You know, it's certainly something which is on the up, and people are definitely wise to keep their eye on. You only have to look at the way that Amazon want to get involved, Google pretend like they want to be involved, and Microsoft are obviously making a big deal with it. it is definitely a future play for all the companies who want to be in gaming, and that will be something we see mature in time. I mean, xCloud's in a great place. Luna sounds interesting. Let's not talk about the other one. But
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm ragging on Stadia now. Why not? Hey, everybody else does.
Kind of left itself open for it. Fair.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, is there anything else you want to add to that one, Craig? You've been fairly quiet throughout this conversation.
Yeah, just letting people talk, mate. Yeah, I think I don't think there's a huge amount extra I can add. Just totally agreeing with Ratley's points on stuff. We're certainly not there in terms of internet connection speeds. I work in that industry currently, and we're a good 10 years at least off having even half of the country being remotely close to speeds that you need to confidently be able to do something like that. And it's not going to take away the fact that we need that hardware in the place, and people will still buy that hardware. So it's a long way off.
There you have it, folks. The first cloud-only gaming console predicted by Craig Larter in 10 years' time. Mark your diaries, boys and girls.
We'll talk about it on that week's podcast.
Excellent. Love the sound of that. Okay, so my final point, which I've saved for the end because it's a bit of a little doozy, actually. CD Projekt Red, been in the news lately. They have introduced a mandatory 6 days a week during their crunch period to get Cyberpunk ready.
Wow.
What do we think around that? Let's start with Craig.
Yeah. So I think I've got quite an unpopular opinion about this, to be honest.
You're an unpopular man, don't worry.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Remember, I'm still hosting. Technically, I have the power to kick you. So no. No, but in all seriousness, it's quite an unpopular opinion because it's after Jason Schreier sort of initially kind of broke the story. Believe it was around Rockstar initially, and the problems with crunch and the issues with a lot of these studios. Levels of stress and unhappiness within the workplace. It's become a real sort of hot topic across the industry, and I totally get it. I do totally get it. If it's extended periods of crunch, it's just not on. It's not a sustainable working environment. For me, this is a slightly different situation. We're just over a month away from release on this game. They've obviously got they've been working on it for 7 years now, and they're getting to that point that they need to double down and get 7 years of hard creative work done. Now, for me, I think if you work at the top level in any industry, and let's face it, you don't get much more top level than a studio of CD Projekt Red's caliber. If you're working at that level, you've got to expect surely that you're going to have to work bloody hard to make these amazing top tier games. Now, if people weren't getting paid for this overtime, absolutely, totally not right. But these guys are going to get paid, I'm sure, pretty handsomely. They're also going to get, I'd imagine, fairly sizable bonuses if the game does well. Plus, I can certainly imagine they're going to get a nice chunk of time off afterwards. It's a funny one. Yeah, it's not great if they're over extended periods of time, but for a month or so, if I was in that position, I'd go, you know what, totally right. Let's get, white knuckles. Let's just go for it. But,
let's put our stamp on this game, make it the best we can before it launches.
Exactly.
What do you think on that one, Alan?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Craig a little bit on this one. I work for a well-known online retailer, and I've worked for obviously various companies through my working career, and this is not unusual. In a perfect world, we'd all work 3 days a week and have more days off than we had to work. Yeah, that would be perfect. But the reality is that with games and game releases and game developers, as purchasers, we want the game to not be delayed, and we want it delivered on time. We want the game to be bug free and perfect as possible, but we don't want the developers being forced to work overtime to commit to the release date. Well, you can't have it all ways. And as Craig pointed out, it's not just in gaming; it's in many industries. I'm sure if you work at the high levels of law, then when you're coming up towards a case, then you crunch and you work loads of hours because you have to get the work done. In many high-level businesses, retail businesses, there's compulsory overtime during busy periods such as Christmas. This is no different. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's inherently a problem, not just with the gaming industry, but with business and employees in general. So focusing on the gaming industry seems a bit unfair because, as I said, working for this online retailer, when we need more associates or more employees, we actually reach out to agencies and get temporary workers. Unfortunately, a game developer like CD Projekt, they don't have that facility. You can't just call up an agency and say, yeah, we need a few more, graphical artists. It doesn't work that way. The only people that can do it are the people already there. So if they're going to get it out on time, then they have to work overtime to make sure they stick to that release date. I think there has to be some, a little bit of marshalling about, maybe some oversight as far as companies and doing this sort of thing. A couple of employees at CD Projekt Red have actually said that this has been going on for longer than actually most people realise, and actually it's been going on for more than a year. So I'd like to see more information on that, because the co-founder Marcin Owinski, specifically told journalists in 2019 that they weren't going to do this, and I think that's part of the problem. Because when you have the owners of the company actually saying, yeah, we're not going to do this, and then 6 weeks before the release they do it, kind of going back on their word. And that for me is the issue. They should have been more clear when they were talking about it, saying, yes, of course we'll try to do everything, but you have to be realistic. And as Craig says, these guys are I would expect to be paid a rather substantial amount of money, and they will get a lot of time off after this is over and done with. So it's kind of one of those situations where, yeah, it's not ideal, but we all expect these games to be released on time. They can't do everything. Do we want another delay on CD Projekt Red? I'm not sure I do. On Cyberpunk, should I say? I'm not sure I do. But I think there is not just a problem with maybe the games industry, but it's inherently throughout the working industry in general.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. It's not just the games industry.
It's capitalism. That's what it is.
That it is. And there's
Yes.
significant demand for these products. Anything you want to add, Ratley?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. I mean, I think the biggest problem CD Projekt seem to be. I'm not going to defend them because it's not a great practice. And like you said, the bit about the sort of them saying they wouldn't do it and now they're doing it is a bit like, come on, like you either like be completely honest and say we will avoid it wherever possible, but it's going to happen. That would be a much fairer thing to say. But there are definitely far worse offenders here, and again, that's not to justify it's acceptable because they're better than others, but I think with a lot of companies and a lot of programs have said this is the biggest problem is you said that nobody else can do it. They absolutely can. They'll just get contractors in and they just pay contractors, and so a lot of developers feel like their backs against the wall because if they don't do it, like the mandate, they'll just get booted and they'll just bring in a contractor to do it instead because they can pay a contractor who'll work that and that's fine. That's how they work. Having said that, like you said, top level was an example. You said at the top level of anything, it's not that simple. At the bottom level of retail, this happens every Christmas, and that doesn't make any of it right. But like I have a retail employee in the past have worked 13 day stretches. Look at care workers. Care workers have this kind of crap. It's a norm for their business, and that doesn't make it any better either. There's a human cost involved in this product, and that's the sad thing about it. And there's people who are going to suffer to make great entertainment. Some people will say that's the price you pay for great entertainment. Does it have to be? Is my question. I don't know. It's a really tough call. I don't want to see Cyberpunk delayed. Everyone's super excited for it. I'm really torn on this one. I'm in the middle. I understand. It would be different if CD Projekt Red had said, we want to ask everyone to work 6-day weeks. We understand this is a big deal. Please, let's make this the best we can. And it sounds like that might be a little bit of the culture they've got going on there, but you don't know for sure because you're not.
I don't
in
believe
there.
it's mandatory.
Well, no, it was mandatory. They said it was mandatory. It's been made mandatory. Yeah, and I think that the problem here is like you can't be in there and see how they're treated. That for all we know, and I know that in good game studios, like I've seen it in Epic in the past. I've seen documentaries where during crunch they have like facilities on facilities available to them. Now, some of those crunches saw people there for 24 hours a day. People sleeping at their desks. That's harsh, but these people were also doing that out of a love and want to do it. Not everybody wants to do the 24-hour crunches or what have you, but people who are really embedded in that product. And like you were saying, Craig, they've been doing this for 7 years. There will be people who will go 6 days a week. I'll be here every day, all day if I have to get this done. I think that you've got to weigh up, like there'll be some people who just can't do that. And to say it's mandatory is a little bit, I mean, we don't know the ins and outs again. They could say it's mandatory, but there may be exceptions to this rule. There's so much we don't know about this. as with all these news articles we get a window into a snapshot of it. I'm pretty sure, well, I say I'm pretty sure, I would like to think that if we went to CD Projekt Red and asked all the people working on Cyberpunk, are you cool with working a 6-day week? I would like to think the majority of them would be like, yeah, I just want to make this thing the best I can. It's a passion project for me. It's something I want to do. That they would be happy to do that. I mean, we won't get the same response from everybody because everybody's different. But, sometimes you wonder, is it just one guy who doesn't want to work a 6-day week? Who just wants the cushy life? Who's just gone, I'm going to tell Jason Schreier about this. Ha, 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 ha. You'll be all over the news. Up yours. Now,
that is
again,
definitely the point. We don't know how many people were spoken to. One or two disgruntled employees who aren't happy with their job would definitely be speaking up about this. But I tend to go with your view.
It's really difficult to pitch this. And I think it's a real minefield to say this is definitely wrong. As the guy from CD Projekt actually tweeted, the head of CD Projekt tweeted about this, saying, "Look, this isn't ideal. We don't really want to do it. Everyone is going to get paid for their overtime." Craig said this earlier. They are going to get paid for it, and at the end of it, there's going to be a big bonus because 10% of CD Projekt Red's profits are split between developers on the game. And I think that's something which is nice to see, that at least these people, for putting in this hard effort, will get rewarded. What the actual real world of this looks like in CD Projekt Red with them developing, we just will never know, because we're not there. And someone will come out and give a horror story, and then a ton of people will come out and say, no, it wasn't like that at all. It was great. And we will never know if they were like defending CD Projekt because they were worried about their jobs or what have you. We just will never know because we're not there. And I think we just kind of have to go, if these we just have to go, make your own mind up, enjoy the game and hope it was worth their while and everyone gets the best they can out of it. That's all I hope for, that they're not giving this time to make a crap product.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think you went into a lot of detail with that. Thank you for that, Chris. Okay, so that is the end of the news for this week. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back.
Just about to say I didn't get to do my theme song.
I did it for you.
Too slow.
In discussing the large-scale structure of the cosmos, astronomers sometimes say that space is curved, or that the universe is finite but unbounded. Whatever are they talking about?
Okay, and welcome back to Section 2 of the Untitled Games podcast. So we're going to move on to talking points. And our talking point for this week is going to be, what is the first game you're going to play on your new Series X when it's been delivered and set up and looking magnificent in your TV, hi-fi audio, home theatre thing? Let's go with Chris first.
Well, first thing I'm going to do, if I could be so kind to ask your indulgence, guys, is just very quickly give a shout out to a friend of mine who's been giving me some feedback and bits and pieces, and that is Sir Bradley. He knows the score. He was upset that he may have been considered an acquaintance, not a friend. So apologies for that, my good friend. Deep apologies if I offended you, Sir Bradley. Anyway, moving on.
He's a good boy, Bradley. I know. Yeah, I know Bradley as well. I've just shot him with an airsoft gun. I think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was Bradley you did shoot. Yes. So moving on. As for which game I want to play, very simply, I've been looking forward to it for ages. It's coming out on the same day as the X. I am going to fire up Gears Tactics, and I am going to chainsaw my way through like so many of those damn grubs. Like, it's unbelievable. I am just going to get stuck in with that. I am so pumped for that game. I know Craig's played it. He says it's really good. I was frustrated as hell that it didn't launch on the Xbox at the same time as the PC. I love the Gears games. It's a universe I'm well invested in. I can't wait to see more Gears, and I really like the idea of that XCOM style of Gears. I think it's a really nice mashup, to be fair. So I'm pumped for that. That's my first title.
Wicked.
Great game.
I think that is a fantastic choice. What's it going for you, Alan? Where's it going to be? What are you going to do?
Well, Phil, when you first put this on the running order in the chat, what you typed was, what game do you want to play first on the Xbox Series X? And I read it literally. So my answer was Cyberpunk 2077. But as you guys correctly pointed out, that comes out 9 whole days after the Series X actually comes out. And was I going to sit there for 9 days not playing anything? And that's completely rubbish. But that is the game that I do most want to play first on the Series X. It just won't be out. So then I thought, okay, Well, Ark Survival Evolved then, because that's pretty much everything.
Hoping for a nice
That's
increase in the
pretty much-
frame rate there, yeah. Nice
Yeah,
Oh,
smooth.
why
I mean,
change that habit?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to load a lot quicker, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit mediocre, but I mean, it's going to load quick. But if I have to think about a game that will be new or newish, and that I would be interested very much in seeing how gorgeous and voluptuous it looks on the new console, I'd have to go for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I mean, I played the original Assassin's Creed many moons ago. I haven't done the research because I can't remember when it came out, but I played the first one and then got bored in the second one about halfway through, and then kind of skipped out through the series. I missed some classics, Unity with the inside out faces, Black Flag.
Yeah, what a classic that was.
Loads. Yeah, indeed. Well, a memorable gaming moment, if not a positive one. But and then Origins was being advertised, and I thought, you know what? Now it's time to dip my toe back in the water. And I absolutely loved Origins. I mean, I'm a completionist. I got 100% completion. And then Odyssey came out, and I was like, yep, I'm in for this bad boy. And then I started playing it, and I got through the first section and looked out across the Greek Sea and went, holy crap, this game's huge. And I still haven't managed to finish it, but that doesn't take anything away from the fact that I think the engine that the Assassin's Creed games has now is absolutely gorgeous. It is a
Stunning.
beautiful looking game. It really is. And I've never played a game with so much complexity that has so few bugs. Even The Witcher Wild Hunt had its fair share of bugs on release. I don't know what the PC world went through, but as far as on the console, I didn't experience any bugs from any of the Assassin's Creed games. So I'm really, really looking forward to Valhalla and seeing what they do with the Viking theme, and the fact that they're trying to push it a bit more into the RPG territory, which really interests me because I'm a massive fan of RPGs. So, I'd like to see much more depth in character development and that kind of stuff. But I just love, I mean, who doesn't like Vikings? And I'm just waiting to see how gorgeous it looks on the old Series X.
I think that's another great choice.
Yeah, bizarrely, I was so excited when I saw the map for Valhalla because it all takes place in our part of the world, or a ton of it does anyway. I was like, oh my god, I live there.
Yeah, I saw on one of the trailers there was
500 years after, but
there was I think it was Theotford.
Yeah.
Thetford.
I'm going to Thetford. I'm going to burn it all down. Theotford. Wait, Thetford. Wait. I'm burning them both down.
Thetford, full of bandit scum.
Absolutely. And moving on to Craig, what is your game of choice going to be when you fire it up?
Easy peasy. Destiny 2 Beyond Light. I'm pumped for this game. I'm a long time Destiny player. I've been playing since the first one. I'm not a continual player of it. I tend to play it for long periods of time, and then I'll drop out for a few months, and then another bit of content will come out and it'll draw me back in again. But I'm really invested in that world. It's got such great lore behind it all. And Beyond Light is the first expansion where they're actually apart from Activision, and it feels very much from the kind of language they're putting across that they're starting to go in the direction that they really want to, rather than being steered by a publisher for a more profitable model, XYZ, So I'm really, really pumped for that. It's going to be finally at 60 frames a second. It feels mad, me saying a game like this, because effectively it's an expansion for a game that's already out, and that's the first game I want to play on a brand new generation of console. But I think that's just indicative of what this generation is like, and what we're going to be seeing going forward. It's like these iterations upon iterations, and your collection's kind of coming with you, which I think is great.
Yeah, I think that's another great choice. I will be on Destiny day one on Series X with you as well, mate. But before I put that in and turn it on, I'm going to be putting on Forza Horizon 4, and I'm going to have a romance explosion whilst I'm driving, because it's going to look so good.
That is a gorgeous looking.
Yeah. I mean, that game looks good now.
Yeah,
that's going to look.
It looks next gen now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. Rock solid 60 frames. Maybe they inside some cheeky ray tracing. I haven't looked into it too much. I'm just want to be marvelled by it when it comes out.
Such a great fun game.
Oh yes, we're going to play Hunt the Bandito dressed up as police cars, I've no doubt.
Yeah, let's not talk about the vans. We kind of put some words on, but
yeah. Best left out that really.
What vans? I believe is how that conversation finished.
We'll fill you in on this later, Ratley.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, you told me. Yeah, and I was like, oh dear God.
Yeah, they did.
Bunch of children.
They did specifically change the terms and conditions for the game around liveries in particular. So those vans are now no longer welcome within the community. And I think
Funny that.
the less said about that, the better. Other than that. Well, that is the end of the talking point for this week. So we're going to have a quick break, and then we're going to come back with a game.
If there are other civilizations which are older than our own and have got much further than we have, they must have very advanced technologies. And I wonder what forms these technologies take.
Welcome back to the game section. It's very exciting. I'm enjoying hosting the game this week. So there will be 2 sections to the game. The first one is a range of multiple choice questions. They are a little tricky, because it wouldn't be fun if they weren't. But because they're multiple choice, I figured you got a pretty good shot at getting the answer right on this. You guys ready for the game?
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it out there. I would have been happy with easy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not easy. Good. I need easy after last week. Last week was painful.
Oh, you'll be fine. Just, put some cream on it and it'll be
Questions
okay.
about your favourite game of all time, Chris? Yeah, painful.
Oh, that weren't about my favourite game of all time, maybe. I don't know. What other game has this guy voiced?
Still bitter.
That is the sound of a bitter man.
Twisted.
Nonetheless, let us move on to the first of the multiple choice questions. Question 1. How many Halo games currently exist, excluding remasters? So we got A, which is 6. B is 8. C is 10. And D is 15. What do we think, boys and girls? Let's go to Craig first.
Oh, thanks. I'm just trying to work it out in my head. I'm going to... Oh, my word. Currently exist, excluding remasters, you said?
Yeah, so they've been, produced and released by Bungie and 343 and...
Okay. Right. Give me the options again, sorry.
So A was 6, B was 8, C was 10, and D was 15.
Okay. Right, I'm going to go with B.
You're going with 8, yeah? What are you thinking, Alan?
B, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same. I'm going with B.
And Ratley?
So
A was
there
6.
Was 6, 8, 10 and 15, wasn't it?
Yes, there was.
I think it's 15.
You're going for D, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
D is the correct answer.
Get
I shall
in!
read you the list of games.
Spartan Assault, Spartan something else on the phone and tablet.
Yeah.
Here we go. So it's Halo Reach,
Halo Wars 1 and 2.
Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo ODST, Halo 4, Halo 5, Halo Infinite is technically in development. We've seen it. It's coming. Halo Fireteam Raven, Halo Wars 2, Halo Spartan Strike 2015, Halo Spartan Assault 2013, Halo 2600, which was on an Atari 2600, developed by Ed Fries in 2010, and Halo Online, which was released by 343 in 2015.
I mean, it wouldn't have made any difference and I still wouldn't have won, but I dispute Infinite being in there. What do we define as a game? A finished product?
All right, fair enough. Well,
to be fair,
I deliberately didn't put 14 as an option.
Yeah, my logic was really simple. I counted up all the main ones, and I knew Spartan Assault and Spartan. The other one, Spartan. What was the first one of those? Spartan, whatever it was.
Spartan
just on phone. Spartan Strike. Those two existed, and I was like, right. So adding all them together, I knew it was over 10. So I was like, right, it's definitely not 10. So it's got to be. I'm going 15. So yeah.
Problem is,
like
Craig,
it.
they're not all in the Master Chief collection, are they? So
Yeah.
And I loved Halo Wars 1 and 2. Like Halo Wars 1 and 2 are just so good.
They're very much on my list of games to play.
Oh,
Yeah, I
dude.
need to play them at some point.
Dude! Since
I hope we can co-op Halo Wars 2, so I think that's going to have to be one we plan for.
so good.
definitely. I mean,
So good.
Cool. Right, you ready for question 2?
ready.
Okay,
good.
sticking with the Halo theme. A Killtastrophe medal is awarded for how many kills in Halo multiplayer? A, 5, B, 7, C, 8, or D, 10? Let's go to Craig first again.
Me first again. Okay.
We'll switch it up in
D.
a sec. You going for D, 10, yeah?
Yeah, I've no idea. I know it's a lot, but
What you feeling, Alan? Where you going?
Well, I respect Craig and his knowledge about games and everything else, so I'm going to follow him again, and I'm going to.
I wouldn't.
D.
Okay. So it's possibly could be leading you into the trenches where you're just going to be shot, but we shall see in a moment. What are you thinking, Ratley?
I think 10's Kilimanjaro, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to go with 8.
Oh, right again. Option C, 8 is the correct answer.
nice.
You see, Alan, Craig
Well
is
done.
leading you. You've basically trodden a lamb by my following him.
He hasn't lost my respect yet, but just for the record, I want Ratley to do the Kilimanjaro shout out as it does in the game. Go on.
Kilimanjaro!
Nice.
Love it.
Nice.
Just quick on that one, I have a bonus point, and this will just be for who gets the closest, assuming that happens. What is the maximum time between each kill before it resets? Let's go with Ratley first.
Have we got multiple choice on this?
No, this is just an open
bonus?
mic one. It's a bonus.
Okay, I'm going to say the time between each kill is 3 seconds.
3 seconds. What are you thinking, Alan?
Ooh, yeah, I'm going to go for 4 seconds.
And what are you thinking, Craig?
5 seconds.
It is 4 seconds.
Oh!
Yay.
Point for
Well
Alan.
done.
Alan.
Well done, Alan.
All right.
I
Okay.
think that might be the first question I've answered correctly since we started the quizzes, isn't it?
Surely not the first.
No, it's not the
Quick,
first.
mark it in there.
You got,
All right.
you got that amazing Saving Private Ryan on the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was
true.
impressive. Ted Danson. Save Private Ryan.
Oh, shattered any chance I
Love that
had
film.
there. Good work, Alan. All right, moving on to question 3. When was the original Fable game released? So I've got A, 2005, B, 2004, C, 2003, and just to mix it up, D, 2007. What are we thinking? Let's go to Alan first.
I can't remember which letter it was, but I'm going to go for 2004.
2004, that's option B. Craig, what are you feeling?
Can't remember the options.
A, 2005, B, 2004, C, 2003, and then D, 2007.
All right, 2003.
2003, option C. And what are you feeling, Ratley?
I'm following Alan into the trenches on this one. I think 2004.
Congratulations, option B. 2004 was the correct answer.
Well done, Sir Alan. Well done, Sir Alan.
It was actually
Well done,
the
Ratley.
14th of September. And a quick little bonus point for this one. Can you tell me what year it was ported to the PC when they added the Lost Chapters DLC to it? It's just an open mic, so let's go with Craig first. So it was released in 2004 originally.
2006.
2006?
Complete
Alan?
guess. I have absolutely no idea.
Cool. Okay.
I do believe, if my memory serves me correctly, it was about 12:30 on July the 16th, 2009.
Okay. 2009. And what are you thinking, Ratley?
I was going to say 2006.
Okay, so we've got 2 for 2006,
I
have
was
we?
feeling that same as Craig, to be fair. If I can go the same as Craig, I'm not sure.
You can indeed. I'm afraid the answer is 2005.
Ah,
Sorry, boys. No points there because, it's only a year. I wasn't going to give you closest to for that one.
Oh, it wasn't the closest thing. Right, okay.
Otherwise, I'd have made you pick something different. Okay, question 4. Forza Horizon was released in 2012. How many cars in total, including all the DLCs, did it have? Option A is 152 cars. Option B is 178 cars. Option C, 212 cars. And finally, option D, 298. Let's go to Ratley first. What you feeling?
I've got absolutely no idea. Not a Scooby Doo. Like not in the slightest thing. So I'm going to the only number that spoke to me was 212. So I'm going to roll with that.
212, option C. What are we going for, Alan?
So, just to clarify the question, Phil, did you say it's the original Forza Horizon, number 1?
Yeah, the first Forza Horizon game but
Horizon, that's it.
including all of the DLC that they released.
Okay, I'm going to go
So-
for the same as Ratley then, 212.
Okay, and what you feeling, Craig?
I can't remember the numbers. I have no idea. B. Just go for B.
B was 178.
No idea.
Okay, the correct answer.
I think. Go on. Sorry.
Go on. Do you want the correct answer? You can say. You can change your mind. I'll
No.
give you a chance.
Go on.
The correct answer was indeed C. 212 cars.
So
Obviously,
that
was Alan and Ratley scored a point.
Nice. Well done.
For obvious reasons, I'm not going to read out the entire car list for that because we'll
go
be
on,
here
mate.
till next Christmas. Do you want a bonus question on that one as well?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So, I told you the game was released in 2012. Can you tell me what month it was released in? Let's go with Craig first.
Let's say August.
August. What you feeling, Alan?
I'm going to go with November.
All right, playing it close to the holiday season. And what you feeling, Ratley?
Yeah, I was feeling the holiday season as well, but like the Forza, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go. Do you know what? I am gonna go with just to be. I'm gonna go October.
Oh, right again, Ratley.
Oh, God.
23rd of October, 2012.
Nice. He's all over it like a cheap suit.
My
On
luck
fire
is
after
like,
last
where's
week.
the lottery? I need to buy a ticket right now because I am on fire right now with the guessing game.
Quick, boys, we need to set up that little sharing thing. You know, what do they call it? A lottery
Syndicate.
thing. Syndicate, yeah, so Ratley can win us some money.
Just for the record, Chris, I'll do the quiz again next week.
But most importantly, Alan, you don't host the lottery, so we're still in with a chance. Okay, question 5. In the original Gears of War, how many guns were in the game? Option A is 10. Option B is 11. Option C is 13. And option D is 15. What are you thinking? Let's go with Alan first.
I'm going to go this time. I'm going to go with B. I believe it was 11.
B, 11. Craig, what are you going for?
What was A? What was A?
A was 10.
A. Yeah, go for A.
Okay. You've nearly sunk my battleship, but moving on to Ratley.
I'm trying to count them all now. Because I played a lot of Gears 1. And I'm trying to think. It's the trouble is I'm now trying to think which ones weren't in Gears 1 as opposed to which ones were in Gears 1. I'm like, that's a gun that wasn't in Gears 1.
That is the challenge in this,
Yeah,
this
this is a tricky
question,
bit.
trying to count them up in your head.
Yeah, and I keep like going, have I counted that one? I don't know.
So do you want me to run the options again for
Yeah,
you?
go
A
give me the
was
options
10,
again. Yeah.
B was 11, C was 13, and D was 15. Craig's guessed 10, Alan has guessed 11.
I'm pretty sure it's 10 or 11. It's just which one is it? I'm going to roll the punches on 11.
You're going with 11. That is the correct answer. Option B. He is on fire. Just for a quick...
So who scored?
So Alan and Ratley both scored
Both
there.
of you again.
Just a quick rundown. The weapons list was the Hammer of Dawn, the Lancer, the Gnasher, the Longshot, the Snub Pistol, the Frag Grenade, the Smoke Grenade, the Hammer Burst, the Torque Bow, the Boom Shot, and the Boltok Pistol.
Yeah.
And as a quick bonus question on this one, so allegedly they made a change to the Xbox 360 hardware because it couldn't run Gears of War properly. Do you know what it is they changed about the console?
I can tell you now if you want to know.
In which case, I'm going to go with Craig first.
I believe they doubled the RAM.
What are you thinking, Alan?
I'd agree with that. I believe they doubled the RAM.
And Ratley?
They did exactly that. They doubled the RAM, and it wasn't a rumour. They absolutely did it because Epic went to them with the demo of Gears running on the RAM that Microsoft had proposed and went, this is what you're going to get. And then they went, we want this. This is what you could have. And Microsoft went, yeah, we want that. We want that. And did it like on the spot. What I found amazing about that, knock-on effect of that, though, did you see the Bethesda? Well, you obviously saw the Bethesda interview where Tyler was talking about they had a cake where they doubled the RAM.
Yeah,
that was
doubling the RAM
hilarious.
cake.
Yeah. So yeah, it's absolutely that's exactly what you double the RAM for it.
Cool. So you will get a point for that one. Well done. Okay, now that is the end of the question round.
Sorry, Phil, I just need to bump in here a bit here. I'm a bit
go for it.
to be honest. Questions about Halo, questions about Gears. Where's the Ark questions?
Yeah.
Well, you see, the thing is, Alan, I don't know anything about Ark, so it made it really difficult to come up with a creative question about Ark. I mean, like,
I can't help
how
feeling
many
questions
variants
were a
of
bit
T-Rex are there?
Guided against me here.
The next
wouldn't
time
worry too
Alan
much, Alan.
hosts, the next time Alan hosts the quiz, it'll be like, so the questions are all on Ark Survival Evolved. Up yours, you bunch of
It's like, in Ark Survival Evolved, how
brilliant.
many hours have I played on this particular map?
Actually, that was a consideration when I was doing the quiz, and then I thought, no, Craig knows exactly what the answer to is that because he's been
Yeah.
checking.
Craig, can you tell me what kind of loincloth I prefer when I wake up naked in the middle of a field after being eaten by an
He
alligator?
knows that. He knows that.
Is that after you've been to the DMP, Phil?
All that, yeah. Right, we are going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to set up the music round. Back in a mo.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back ribs. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back ribs.
Excuse me.
Chili baby back ribs.
Okay, and welcome back to part 2 of the quiz. So during this part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some audio samples, so it's music from video games, and then the guys are going to try and guess what games they've come from. So, starting with audio sample number 1. Okay, what did we think that was, guys?
Who first?
Well, I'll
let's
go first. I'll go first
Go on
really
then,
simply
Ratster.
because I haven't got a bloody clue. I know the music. I cannot place it in the slightest. I don't want to be that cheesy guy who sits there and goes, yeah, I'll wait till the others answer. Yeah, I'll get this. Yeah. Don't worry. Not a clue, mate. Not a clue. Not the slightest clue.
All right, I'm going to go because I don't really know, but it sounds familiar. I'm going to go with Fable.
Okay, and what are you thinking, Craig?
It's bugging me. It's not Peggle, is it?
It's not Peggle, no. You might kick yourselves a little bit in this one. That was the Angry Birds music.
Ah.
Of course it was. God damn it. I knew it.
Oh, so many years that game was on top, and yet it still flummoxed us. Thank you, Angry Birds. Okay, now I'm going to move on to audio sample number 2. Here it is, boys. Okay, so what did we think that one was? Let's go to Ratley first again.
Do you really want to come to me first?
Well, I'd like to.
You
think they'll
really
all
want
get
to?
it.
I think we all know what this one is.
That's Mass Effect all day long, mate.
What do we think,
Mass
Alan
Effect. It was Mass Effect.
and Craig?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I just had to double check. You know, I did think it was going to be that one, and I was like, I'm sure they'll all get this, but you know,
I
put
can't
it in
help
there for a bit
feeling
of
the
fun.
wisdom of Ratley going first wasn't perhaps good for that one.
Yeah. Like, I was like, if he comes to me first, I don't know what I'm going to say because it's like, yeah, really, like 2 notes, and I was like, it's Mass Effect. I literally have those soundtracks on repeat in the car, so you know.
Yeah. have you heard that beautiful piece of piano music that a guy's done? It's the Mass Effect tune just played on piano. It's stunning.
There's you sent it to me. And I think there's there's so many great moments of music in the Mass Effect series, but yeah, I could waffle for hours about that. So let's not do that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll try to be more mindful next time I ask any of these other ones. Okay. So I am ready for piece of music number 3. Okay. Hopefully you all heard that nice and clear. What do we think with that one? Let's go to Alan first.
Well, it's Elder Scrolls, but I'm not quite sure which one it is. I'm going to go with, I think it's Oblivion.
Okay, and what you thinking, Craig?
I'm going to say Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay, and Ratley, what we going with?
Elder Scrolls is the favourite there, and I can't help but feel that. Yeah, I think Oblivion was one I played more than Skyrim, and it sounds familiar to me, so I'm going to rock with Alan on that one and say Oblivion.
Okay, good news. You chose wisely. That was indeed from Oblivion.
Cool.
Just need a little bit of Patrick Stewart in there to seal the deal.
I know, but that would have probably given it away a bit too much.
That's a bugger because that is in Elder Scrolls Online as well.
Okay,
Yeah, but I think
all
Elder
right.
Scrolls
Mr. Complaining is not
Possibly.
fair.
Elder Scrolls
I haven't played it enough.
Yeah, because I played it like last week, and I was like, oh, I know this one.
I think
That
it's probably one of those-
specific piece was the version
Yeah.
played in
All
Oblivion, not the one played in online. Sorry, Craig.
Next, you'll be complaining about the actors and the games they played in, or something like that, and they're not relevant.
would never
to the
do that.
question. That's the next thing we moan about. I mean, what kind of cheap shit move is that, man? Seriously.
Next thing you know, he'll be knocking on Johnny Silverhand, won't he? And there's no way that's going to happen. All right, are you ready for piece number 4?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
we're ready.
here we go. Okay, that was your 20 seconds. What do we think? Let's go with Craig first.
I think that perforated my eardrum, whatever that was.
Do apologise. I'm sure we can add in the better quality samples for the listeners.
Yeah. Sounds like a Final Fantasy game to me.
Okay.
Do I have to name a specific one? Because there's like 87 of them, isn't there?
Sure, we'll just go with Final Fantasy, and you can have like half a point if that turns out to be correct. How's that sound?
Thanks. Which is not correct then, obviously.
So what are you talking about, mate? Can't give anything away. What are you thinking, Alan?
Well, I'm thinking Legend of Zelda.
Okay. And what are you thinking, Ratley?
I was thinking it was a Zelda title, to be fair. Which Zelda title is... it feels like not a current... it doesn't feel like Breath of the Wild Zelda. It feels like pre that, and I can't think which one. But yeah, Zelda... It feels like a Zelda title to me.
Okay, well, points for you and Alan. That piece of music is just called The Legend of Zelda. Don't actually specify which game.
Nice, well done.
Yeah.
So, good work there, boys. All right, are you ready for the next audio masterpiece?
Let's do it.
All right. There we go. That was the next piece. Now, I'm going to be honest, that one technically was a cover, so I'm looking for the name of the series. If that doesn't give away what it might have been at all. So, shall we go with Ratley first?
I'm going to kick myself, isn't it? But it just... I could have sworn that was a Mario Brothers theme.
Okay, we're going with Mario Brothers. What we thinking, Alan?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Chris on that one. I definitely felt the Mario tune in there somehow. So yeah, I go with Mario.
And Craig, you want to say anything different?
It's me, a Mario.
It was indeed the Super Mario Brothers. That was the best one I could find was a cover there, so I didn't want to go too 8-bit on you guys, just to mix it up a little bit. Alrighty, let us move on to the next piece of music. Okay. Right. I'm guessing you've all got a pretty good idea. I am looking for the specific game on this one. Let's go with Alan first.
Is that Metal Gear Solid the first one?
You're going with the original Metal Gear Solid, yes?
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay. What are you going with, Craig?
That was actually what I was going to say, the first Metal Gear Solid game, but it just, something grabbed me immediately saying it was that, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And what you thinking, Ratster?
Yeah, this is a tricky one because it's definitely a Metal Gear, but is it the first one or is it a later one? That's a really tough call. I'm going to go with Metal Gear Solid 2.
It is Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. Oh, his guessing is on fire this evening.
The only reason I thought is, and this is going to sound really lame, is because there was a point in PUBG where a lot of the streamers were being done in by the guy who does the whole, the creeping music followed by the alert, the chase, and it's that refrain that's right at the beginning of it. And I was like, that's the same thing, and that's from Metal Gear Solid 2. So I was like, that's my educated guess, and it is just purely that.
My wife is currently jumping down on the spot, Ellie. She's not happy because she says that it's actually Metal Gear Solid, the original game. How sure are you, Phil?
100% sure that is from Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty.
Right, I'll let her know that you want to tell her she's wrong. Okay.
Yes, through some kind of framed bar scenario where she can reach her arms through, but perhaps can't quite grab my throat. If you could, please, that'd be great.
Do what I can. There's no stopping her when she.
So you want him to throw her in jail?
Or me, whichever keeps me safe. Something sturdy, though, yeah? All right. And the final part of the music round. God, if you don't get this, just give up now. Okay, I am looking for the specific game that piece of music was from. I'm going to go to Ratley first.
Oh, this is tough. It's obvious which series of games it's from. Like you said,
glad we're narrowing down the ballpark figure.
Which series of games that's from? We all need help. Seriously, well, it's obviously a Halo game. My gut feeling is Halo 3.
Okay. What are you thinking, Alan?
First of all, I'm thinking just playing that 20 seconds of music. I got goosebumps, man.
Yeah, man.
I thought you guys might like that. Yeah. That's such
a good. It fills you with goosebumps. I mean, that. Oh dear Lord. But I have to follow Ratley on this one. I think it's Halo 3.
And Craig, as our resident Halo expert, which game is it?
I apologise. I didn't actually hear that because the boys started fighting. I had to quickly run and sort them out. But I take it was a Halo game.
It wasn't.
It doesn't really matter whether I get it right or not. Halo, but knowing you, Phil, I'd probably say it's Halo Reach.
It was Halo 3. That piece of music was from Halo 3. Now,
so did you boys both say Halo 3?
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Kind of, lost out a bit there. Now, Craig, would you mind giving us a quick
point? Couldn't it? You could have turned it around on that last one, Craig.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Could you give us a rundown of the points? Where is everybody scoring this week?
So we have Alan on 10 points.
Red.
Ratley on 12 points and me on 43 points.
Okay, could you recalculate that with the correct number now, please?
Oh, yes, sorry. That's me on 3 points, Alan on 10 and Ratley on 12. Well done, Ratley.
Well done, guys.
Good stuff. Now, I did prepare a tiebreaker, but I'm just going to throw that out because clearly I don't need it. So, well done with that one, boys. Well done, Ratley. You've come back strong after last week's shameful defeat of your favourite game.
It was not like that.
All right. So that is the end of the game section, and I believe that is the end of this week's podcast. So that's a bye from Ratley.
Bye!
And a bye from Alan.
Goodbye.
And a bye from Craig.
Goodbye.
And that's a bye from me. Thank you very much. See you guys next week.